Apparently, it's Cat Week here on the Maple Table. We are going to talk about the Pahtra race from Starfinder. They are a race of cat people. Hello everyone, welcome to the Maple Table. My name's Nathaniel. This is a channel where we discuss role-playing games, so if that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you join me at the table. So do all those things that everybody always tells you to do, like subscribe to the channel and like it, because that helps me out. The Pahtra are a cat-like humanoid race, and they come from the Veskarium. They live on a planet in the Veskarium called Pulonis. Or at least it's called Pulonis to them. See, when the Vesk took over their section of space, they renamed all of their planets to Vesk Prime, Vesk 2, Vesk 3, Vesk 4. The Vesk really have a good naming convention going for them. I haven't covered the Vesk in my race guides yet, but I do plan to do this. Stick around to the end of the video and I will tell you a little bit more about some different types of Pahtra you can run into on Pulonis, or you could even throw into your game. Pahtra were basically existing on their low-gravity planet called Pulonis, not doing anything, not upsetting anybody, until the Vesk came over and decided that, yoink, this is our planet now. The Pahtra didn't like that very much. There were some pretty brutal wars that happened on that planet, with very heavy losses being sustained on both sides. Mainly because the Vesk were just not prepared for the gravity of the planet, because it's a low-gravity planet, which would explain why the Pahtra have such long arms or long limbs. It's also quite a lush jungle planet. It's basically all tropical forest. The Pahtra can be found in two places. They can be found on page 94 of the Alien Archive, or they can be found on page 133 of Near Space. I have reviewed Near Space and given my thoughts on whether or not it will make a good addition to your collection. It will be in the description below. To start off, a Pahtra will have the ability score adjustment of +2 dexterity, +2 charisma, and -2 strength. They'll also get 4 hit points to start. They're okay, they're not super tanky. Pahtras will also get the ability of Pahtra senses. Basically, Pahtras are really good at seeing in the dark. They have dark vision for 60 feet and low light vision. Pahtras are also nimble. This means that if they're caught unawares, they will not have the flat-footed penalty, nor will they take the attack penalties associated with flat-footed. And they can stable themselves with a swift action instead of a move action, so pretty agile. Pahtras also have the talented ability. This will allow them to gain +2 to their acrobatics, +2 to their stealth, and +2 to a profession of their choice. And because cats are naturally wary, they will gain a +2 bonus against charm and compulsion effects. Pahtras have lived on Pulonis for as long as anyone can remember, and that's not very far back because the gap kind of wiped away all memories. Pahtras would have been the apex predator of their planet, Pulonis, until of course the Vesk came and took over the planet, renaming it to Vesk 6. The Pahtra culture cherishes two things above all else: music, combat. It basically defines who they are as a species. Pahtras are known to be extremely musical, especially using those talents for combat. They use music to intimidate their foes and to also inspire themselves as they go into battle. Not only are all Pahtras natural musicians, they have perfect pitch. They can't sing an off-key note. I shouldn't say can't. They could, they'd have to work at it though. In Pahtra society, their history and their tales are actually told in the form of musical theater. They remember their heroes in the form of song. Just a reminder, if you haven't hit that subscribe button with the bell notification, that you should probably go do that. I would appreciate it. And while you're down there, hitting the like button really helps me out as well. It should also be said that the Pahtra are extremely individualistic, even in the days when the Vesk were just starting to take over Pulonis. The Pahtra nation was fragmented. There was tribes all over the planet, but there was nothing, they weren't a united front. And their technology wasn't that far advanced. Not at least until they went to war with the Vesk and took a lot of it and integrated it into their own. After a long and bloody, drawn-out war with the Vesk, the Pahtra were unfortunately unable to fend off the superior firepower and technology of the Vesk. Eventually they fell, and the Pahtras signed a peace treaty with the Veskarium. The Pahtra would accept Vesk rule, but their planet and their nation would still have some autonomy in how it was to actually be run. They just now had to conform to a whole bunch of Vesk regulations and support the Vesk war effort. One of the traditions that the Pahtra nations did keep even after the Vesk occupation, although it is becoming less popular with some of the younger Pahtra as they are growing up. Because the Pahtras can have such varying colors of their fur and their fur-colored patterns, even their eyes can come in any of the color spectrum that you can see. What the Patron mystics would do is when a new baby was born, they would read the facial markings of the patron that would set their course through life. It was also said that by the patron mystics, if they were to read the facial markings of a newborn patron, they would be able to define their physical characteristics and personal attributes and how likely they would be to achieve accolades in their lifetime. However, there is an ancient tradition that the patrons still hold dear. Every patron on their 15th birthday will participate in a weeks-long hunt. These hunts are very dangerous. And as I said, they last 4 weeks. Basically, what happens is all the patron who are in their 15th year are put into groups of about a dozen, and then they are sent out into the forest. They have to survive not only the harsh environments of their planet, they also have to be able to catch their prey. And by the way, these groups will also attack each other as a number 3. So you have to survive all of that. And then, of course, there's also the war games that come along with this entire participation. Needless to say, some patron haven't made it past their 15th birthday. But for those who do, it sets them on a trajectory that will alter their lives forever. As I mentioned, the Pahtras do have some fierce individualism. For those who no longer wish to live under the rule of the Veskarium, they will take to space. Because of the treaty that was signed between the Pact worlds and the Veskarium, the Pahtras are actually allowed to travel freely not only in the Veskarium but also in the Pact worlds, and they will absolutely take that opportunity to try their luck out as a mercenary, treasure hunter, or even working for the Starfinder Society. Some of the more ambitious Pahtra, they're actually looking for ways to remove their Vesk overlords from control of their planet. It doesn't usually go very well for them, but there's always that rebel element. With the Pahtras being one of the most prominent species in the Veskarium, the Pahtra would actually have ties to the catfolk of Golarion, going all the way back to their medieval days, Sea Pathfinder 2nd edition. But as far as a race goes, I think they're really interesting. In the Near Space book, it talks a lot about the Veskarium space and what the planets are like. One of the races that they call out in that book specifically is the Pahtras. There's some different ways that you can build them if you're not too keen on the opening stat block. There are Pahtras who are born all over the place, and the ones that are born on a planet with normal gravity, they get the affectionate nickname called hunter-killers. In growing up on a planet that has full gravity, or normal gravity as we would call it, Pahtras develop a very powerful musculature, and they are of course natural-born predators. If you are going to play a hunter-killer, your ability score adjustment is going to be +2 strength. And then of course there's the Cravash. They are more of the extremist type Pahtras. They're the ones who took the fight against the Veskarium extremely seriously. Like they're zealots, they're out there. The Cravash were bioengineers, biochemical engineers, and they experimented on themselves to try to gain an edge over the Veskarium. Their experiments worked wonders with some side effects. All of their bioengineering greatly enhanced their reflexes as well as their strength, but it took a great physical toll on their bodies. If you're going to play a Cravash Pahtra, your starting ability modifiers will be +2 strength, +2 dexterity, and -2 constitution. Remember those patron mystics that I mentioned before? That's also an ability set that you can play. Those particular Pahtra are well suited to the mystical energies and being able to understand and manipulate them to their will. These types of Pahtras are called wise ones, and their starting ability modifiers will be +2 constitution, +2 wisdom, and -2 strength. The Near Space book will also give you a couple of alternate racial features to build out your Pahtra, and what features the new ones will replace for the old ones, because you don't get them all for free. This is my absolute favorite race when it comes to Starfinder. The planet that they live on, Vesk 6, or Pulonis, depending on who you ask, is interesting enough that you could have many types of adventures on its own using just the planet. It doesn't make for good space exploration. Even if you were to have some of your story points, take them in and out of the planet, I think it's a fantastic way to go. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Pahtras. And would you like to learn a little bit more about Pulonis or Vesk 6? Because there's a lot of information on that planet that I can cover. I also realize that I haven't talked about the Pact worlds or the Veskarium at all, so I'll have to do some on that as well. Up on the screen, you will see a playlist of other Starfinder races that I have covered, so please check them out. YouTube will have also made a recommendation for you. My name's Nathaniel. You've been watching The Maple Table. Thank you so much for your subscription. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.